Charles is sitting in his truck in a parking lot, engine off, staring at a text message from the mechanic. $1,400. That's what it'll cost to fix the transmission. He doesn't have $1,400. He doesn't have $400. He's got $61 in his checking account and 4 days until payday. And here's the thing that's eating him alive as he sits there. He's not lazy. He's never been lazy in his life. He's worked at the same plant for 14 years, double shifts whenever they're offered. He has worked overtime. He has done everything he was told to do. So why is he sitting in a dead truck with $61 to his name, 15 minutes away? At that exact same moment, his childhood best friend Donald is transferring $2,000 out of an account without even thinking twice about it. Not because Donald makes more money than Charles. He doesn't. Same plant, same job title, same paycheck. For the last 6 years, same effort, same hours. Then what is wrong with Charles? Is it bad luck, or is there something wrong he's doing? Well, let's dig deep and see what's actually wrong. I'm Owen, and this channel exists for one reason: to explain the parts of money nobody sat you down and taught you. If this resonates with you, hit the subscribe button. Okay, Charles and Donald grew up 2 houses apart. Same street, same broke summers, same free lunch line in middle school. They got hired at the plant within a month of each other, 19 years old, both of them thinking the exact same thing: get a steady job, work hard, things will get better. For the first 8 years, it looked like they were living identical lives. Same raises, same union contract, same 6 a.m. alarm. If you'd asked either of them back then who was going to end up ahead, neither one would have had an answer because there was no difference to point to. Then 6 years ago, Donald's mother had a heart scare. Nothing tragic happened, thankfully, but it was serious enough that Donald sat in a hospital waiting room for 11 hours with nothing to do but think. The thought that kept circling back to him was simple and brutal. If something happened to me tomorrow, what would I actually have to show for 14 years of work? The honest answer was not much. A truck he still owed money on, a credit card hovering around $3,000, whatever was left in his checking account after rent, which most months was close to nothing. That waiting room is where this whole story actually turns. Not a lottery ticket, not a secret. A guy sitting with his own fear for 11 hours. When Donald got home, he didn't do anything dramatic. He didn't quit the plant. He didn't start some side hustle empire. He did something almost embarrassingly small. He called his credit card company and asked what it would take to pay off the balance in a year, instead of just making minimum payments forever. Then he did the math on his own paycheck, found $60 he genuinely wouldn't miss, and set up an automatic transfer into a plain, boring index fund, the kind of fund that just owns a small sliver of hundreds of big companies at once. Nothing exciting, no stock picking, no app notifications. Just $60 gone from his checking account the day after payday, every single time before he had a chance to spend it. Charles, meanwhile, kept doing exactly what he'd always done. Worked hard, picked up every overtime shift he could, genuinely believed, and honestly, who could blame him that if he just worked enough hours, eventually he'd get ahead? Here's what I need you to sit with for a second, because this is the actual heart of the whole thing. Charles was not wrong that hard work matters. He was wrong about what hard work by itself actually produces. Working hard at the plant produced a paycheck. That's it. That's what that specific kind of effort produces, a paycheck for hours already spent that stops the second he stops showing up. There's no version of work harder that changes what that paycheck fundamentally is. It's rented income. You get it for today, and tomorrow you have to go earn it all over again from zero. Donald's $60 was doing something completely different. It wasn't rented, it was owned. That little sliver of companies didn't care if Donald showed up to work or not. It didn't clock him in or out. It just sat there, quietly growing, whether Donald was on the floor of the plant or asleep in bed. 6 years of that, $60 a month, growing at something like the stock market's long-run average, turned into a little over $19,000. Not because Donald was smarter than Charles, not because he earned more, because he redirected a small, unnoticed slice of identical income into something that kept working even when he wasn't. And here's the part that really stings if you think about it honestly. Charles worked more hours than Donald over those 6 years, genuinely more. All those overtime shifts add up. If you lined up the two men by raw effort, Charles wins easily. And he still ended up sitting in a dead truck with $61 to his name. That's not a fluke. That's what happens when every extra hour of effort goes into the same rented paycheck instead of any of it going towards something owned. You can multiply effort as much as you want. If none of it lands anywhere that keeps working without you, you just end up more tired, not more secure. I want to be honest about something here because I think most finance content glosses right over it. Donald's $60 wasn't nothing to him. Some months he genuinely felt it. There were a couple of stretches where he almost turned the transfer off. What kept him going wasn't discipline in some superhuman sense. It was that hospital waiting room, sitting there in the back of his mind, reminding him what having nothing to show for it actually felt like. Charles didn't have that moment. Not yet, anyway. Most people don't, until they're the one sitting in the parking lot, staring at a mechanic's text. So let's talk about what actually happened mechanically, because I don't want to leave this as just a nice story. There are really only two things Donald did differently, and neither one required more effort than Charles was already putting in. The first thing, he stopped paying rent to his own debt. And that credit card, sitting around 24% interest, was quietly eating a real chunk of every paycheck before Donald even got a chance to use it for anything else. Paying that off wasn't about willpower, it was about recognizing that no investment on earth reliably beats guaranteed 24%. And killing that debt was, in a very real sense, the best return he was ever going to get on any dollar. The second thing, once that leak was closed, he let the freed up money go somewhere boring and automatic before it had a chance to quietly turn into a slightly nicer weekend or a slightly bigger dinner out. Not because those things are bad, because unless money is given a job, the moment it arrives, it tends to find its own job, usually one that disappears the moment you spend it. That's it. That's genuinely the whole difference. Not hustle, not a side business, not some secret the wealthy don't want you to know. Just stop feeding the debt, then quietly feed something that grows in that order before the money gets a chance to just vanish into ordinary life. Charles is going to be fine, by the way. A few months after that night in the parking lot, he finally asked Donald, straight out, "Why does this feel so much harder for me?" Donald gave him the actual order he did things in. The order matters, do these out of order, and most people quit before it works. First, a small cash cushion. Donald saved $500 and left it alone. Not to invest, just to sit there. Why first? Because without it, the next flat tire goes straight back on the credit card. That $500 catches you, so one bad week doesn't undo months of progress. Second, kill the most expensive debt first. Donald ranked every debt by interest rate, highest to lowest, not by size. He paid minimums on everything else and threw every spare dollar at the highest rate one. Once it was gone, he rolled that money onto the next one. Always attack the one costing you the most. Third, grab free money before investing anything. Donald checked if his job matched any retirement contributions. It did a match almost nobody used. Free match money is like an instant 100% return. Claim it before sending money anywhere else. Fourth, then start investing simply. Only after the cushion, the debt, and the match, Donald put $60 a month into one plain, low-cost index fund. Automatic, every payday before he could spend it. Fifth, make yourself harder to replace. Donald noticed maintenance workers earned $9 more an hour. He trained for that role on his own time. Same job site, more valuable hour. 5 steps in order. Cushion, highest interest debt, free match, simple automatic investing, then a scarcer skill. It took Charles 2 years at a smaller scale with pauses along the way, and it still worked. Listen carefully. Charles isn't special, he just got the order right. That's the whole difference. If you're stuck right now, it's not because you didn't try hard enough. Nobody ever showed you the order. Now you know it. Just do the first step this week. If this helped, drop a comment and let me know where you're starting. See you in the next one.